Welcome back to the reality, guys. I'm your host, Billy Blinks, joined as always by my co-host, Brian.
Everybody.
Joined by friend of the show, our boy, your boy, co-host of the Strat Chat podcast. Let's say hello to Kyle Petty.
Hi, hello, and good day.
As you guys can see here in the thumbnail, we're back to talk the second half of CBS Wednesday reality. It is The Amazing Race. This is season 35, episode 3, 0 Hours of Sleep and a $1 million Dream. All right, look, right off the bat, thank you everyone for the comments. Please continue to comment. Let us know your thoughts, especially you guys who know all of your past Amazing Race trivia and facts. It's really been awesome to get learn that stuff in the comments. Obviously, shout out to Logan as we get in our first 20-second pandering for points. So we're gonna keep doing that. We're still in Thailand to start this leg, guys, but we are going to fly to Vietnam. I don't want to spoil everything here, but we do need to kind of talk about the elephant in the room, right? I kind of jinxed us. I said we don't want a mega leg next week. We got a mega leg, boys. The Vietnam mega leg part 1 review here.
Boo.
It's just like we said, it's like a bachelor without a rose ceremony. It's like, Temptation Island without a bonfire. Like Survivor without a tribal council. You need someone to go. I need to be able to whittle some of these early couples down so I can get rid of some of these stats and all this. I need to just learn about the people, right? I don't care about this many people. And I'm sorry, it's just how I feel. I want to be able to get fully invested. And I think when this early on, when you're kind of stringing us along, I texted Brian about 40 minutes in. I'm like, dude, this got mega leg written all over it. They haven't even done a challenge yet. They're still on this friggin' riverboat trying to turn in fruit. So Kyle, guest, my man, I think we know what you're gonna say here too, but what is your thoughts on the mega leg and just that structure?
I was massively disappointed, especially because we really celebrated the beginning of this whole scene. We're not doing any non-elimination legs, and this is exactly what that felt like. But I wouldn't say that 40 minutes in, I was so sold that we weren't going to get it at the end of this. I said, okay, we're really learning how to flesh out this 90-minute thing. I said, so maybe this is how we take it to the end. So disappointed to find out I was completely wrong.
Brian, I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, I thought it was boring. I need to see eliminations. I don't sit through 3 hours of TV for the end half to not be good. I still have positivity for the season. It's just
Sure.
we talked about pre-show. I mean, we want to see this mega leg later in the season where we're invested in teams and we don't want to see a team go. And here, it's just I'm forgetting people's names, so I don't care who goes.
You made two really good points there. One, Brian, I want to be able to get, I don't know, in memory. And here, comment. This is a good one for the comment section. Were there ever any mega legs or non-elimination legs that made you fist pump because the team that came in last, you actually wanted to survive? I can't think of that ever happening for me. Right now, I've only seen a few seasons, but I can't remember oh my God, my team's still in it, right? This is sick. Maybe if based off us doing our team picks now, we could kind of root for that. But you bring up a really good point in that respect. And the second good point I thought was one you brought first was Amazing Race does have this interesting responsibility now in a 3-hour block. I feel like most people are watching both, right? Or a large majority, I would guess, are watching both.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to stick the landing on hour 3, right? And so it's very interesting that I think that's a really great point, something to kind of examine throughout. What if they had been flipped? If they had been flipped, the ending of Survivor tonight would have been a great way, I feel like, to end a 3-hour block, right?
Right.
Yeah.
What a way to go out.
We built up to the carnage, and that review will be the one coming out after this review. So make sure you're subscribed to see that. Let me get into the chronology like we normally do. We'll try to run through this pretty quickly, obviously, because we know we're not heading to an elimination. We start the episode, like I said, in Thailand. We are about a 500-mile flight to Vietnam. They have 100 million people. Half of them are under the age of 25. That was a wild.
That's wild.
Really wild stat.
I was very surprised to hear that.
We get to see a good old fashioned travel agent. Shout out to the Thailand tour and travel. You had to book your flight. It didn't open until 7 a.m. But 1:45 would be the first flight out to Ho Chi Minh City. Just like we saw in episode 1, and we're probably going to see this throughout, we're going to see tiers of flights, tiers of departures for taxis, for the riverboat, like we saw later. So we did get to see the first 4 teams initially make the first flight. Plane 1 is Jocelyn and Victor, our winners from last week. Greg and John, Robin, Corey, Morgan, and Lena. Interestingly enough, Team 5 shows up Ashley and Todd. The flight is till 7:55. So, a nice 6-hour difference. I liked seeing that. I thought it was going to be really cool to see them grouped up. However, we get to see our first kind of, power travel play almost. That freaking travel agent that gets Joel and Garrett and Joe and Ian the 150 flight after 2 teams or 3 teams had already been set on the 750 flight. Like, where did this guy find the flight?
Was it a different flight because they had to take a bus?
I mean, it was the one, it was the 150 versus the 145, but like, where were those flights before when those other guys were taking the
right? Where was 150 when these other people getting stuck with the 7 o'clock one?
But
what was that?
Did we see anybody else on the sleeping bus besides them?
They showed like, I didn't track all the teams on the sleeping bus, but they did show like 4 or 5. I think everyone had to take the sleeping bus.
Okay, all right. I only remember seeing Joel and Garrett and Joe and Ian. So that's why
Rob
I wasn't
and Corey
sure.
You saw on there because Corey was like, dude, this is wild.
Like, I must have like
they did show the girls get on, but again, that was much more montagey because they had already shown the kind of initial.
Okay,
those buses are cool, dude.
Yeah, man. I've never. Yeah, I wonder how. But the cleanliness would worry me a lot, actually.
Yeah, I had a few issues with these buses. Okay, the cleanliness, absolutely. Who wiped this down?
Yeah,
I need to know that somebody's head wasn't all nasty. We know that Paris got these bed bugs. Like, what are y'all doing to make sure that this space is safe? Okay, but also like the aisle itself was very narrow, and I know that somebody with a gut like mine is not going to make it down that aisle. Like, I had to tuck my stomach under one of the bunks and slide on down.
Remember in like old cartoons where like they lift up their chests like really high and then like you can pick up your...
I have to like raise my tits to get down the thing. Like, I'm not so sure. I don't know. Once I shoehorned myself into the bunk bed, I think it'd be fine.
Can you imagine like you bought a ticket and you go to like walk up to the bus and the guy's like, no.
It's just exactly. Like, no. Well, first he's like, "Give me your shoes," right? Because you're not allowed. You're not allowed to be there. Just sneakers on. And he's like, "Wait a minute, hold on. You are, sir, you are far too large." I'm like, give my shoes back and give me some of my dignity back. Thank you.
They did care about the cleanliness though on the bus, so maybe I don't know. Maybe it's okay. They were giving it credit for it. Better than the subway in New York.
I need to see it with my own eyes.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Get my butthole eyes out.
I mean, how much worse could that Vietnamese bus be than the Long Island Railroad?
Right, but I just sit on that. I don't be touching a whole lot of stuff.
Your head doesn't touch that dirty seat.
Exactly. I'm not laying down. I'm not letting
other people down.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to get comfortable. I'm not doing that overnight.
Right. You have like you have like a underwear and pants layer, even if it's microscopic, like very thin. It's not your skin.
Exactly. I still got clothes on and so yeah, no, we good.
Okay, yeah. So we blah 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 the thing. So the funny part is that the 145 flight ends up getting delayed an hour and 15 minutes. So the 150 flight does become the prime flight and only 2 teams on the flight.
Right, the secret 150.
A few artificial barriers though in this leg we'll see does kind of force a bunch of people together, and we're going to get to that pretty quickly. Yeah, we mentioned the buses. The dock opens at 5:45. There's a 5:45, 6 a.m. and 6:15 slots. So obviously again, first come first serve, grab the cards. But yet again, another little kind of travel hack that comes into play, and I'll bring that up here in a second. Joel and Garrett, Joe and Ian, Rob and Corey, and Steve and Anna Lee found a leftover 5:45 ticket while others were getting the 6 and 6:15 ticket. Was that one that was just like stuffed in a wrong box? Like, I didn't catch like how there was still a 5:45 left.
I thought that who got there first, Joel and Garrett?
Mm-hmm.
I thought they'd look through all of them and then maybe put one in there. That's what I was thinking. Maybe they'll leave in like a little
Okay.
treasure.
I
But
Maybe
like
just
that.
shuffled up poorly.
yeah,
Because
or
they
like a
didn't care.
yeah, or like producers having some fun. Like who's gonna actually look at this stuff? It's almost like a golden ticket in Willy Wonka. Like I'm super. I was annoyed that people weren't sleeping out there. That's what I was hoping for. I want to see a line of people sleeping outside. That's what I want to
Yeah,
see.
we haven't got. Well, I think we have plenty of time for that. But again, I think just how they're setting up these early legs, I don't think they want 10, 11 teams all sleeping out somewhere. So that's probably something
I do.
I mean, I do, but it's something they're probably keeping in mind.
Think about us.
Next major setting
Think
and the real major setting of this episode obviously takes place in the Mekong Delta, 2,700 miles long, excuse me, approximately the distance of the entire United States. This was my favorite part of the episode. This was the floating markets. That shit was dope. That was so cool. There's some of them that had like refrigerators in there with like Cokes. There were some with like big pots where they're like making stew. And there's some that are literally, obviously, and we get to the challenge here in a second that I'll bring up. But the fruit vendors and the food vendors, like, what did you guys think of that?
How much drug dealing do you think goes around there?
All the drug dealing.
Because like there's no there. That's what I kind of thought that it was going to be like, kind of like you can sell things kind of illegally because you're out on the water. Like there's no like cops and you're so bunched together.
The cameras.
Yeah.
Wow. See, my mind is very pure, and I did not. And my mind did not go there. I just thought it was so cool to me.
It was cool.
See that, like, like we have to go out into the water to conduct our business because there's just so many people. This space is so densely populated that this is where we do these things that we would normally do on land. I just thought that was cool.
I would like
to load up the boat and go see who we meet. That's interesting to me.
Maritime law applies out on the floating market. If they're out now in the Delta, is this maritime? Is it piracy laws come into play? Do you have to hail flags? I want to know these things. I really do. But again, the fact is they also had all the glass sodas. Nice touch. Very nice.
Kyle says like, hey, they have this dense population, so they take that dense population and make it really dense in the center of a lake or whatever body or river they are, because like that one dude's doing like U-turns because he can't get in.
Right. I think that's very interesting to me. I didn't think drugs.
The Kairang.
I'm sure there's a lot of those shenanigans going on.
The Kairang floating market, just so I make sure I throw the name out there for everyone who's keeping score.
Logan.
Dragon fruit, tangerine, and melons. If you did the delivery, you all got a third of a photo from each of the vendor that would lead you to where the next marked destination was. This was another tough one, guys. I'm going to do a quick aside. Another tough one for the Mario Party references. There is not a lot going on, but I got a couple that are pretty good. First one here actually comes from this fruit challenge. Now, there isn't a fruit sorting challenge in Mario Party. Some of you will know, like Honeycomb Havoc, you get the coins, the fruit, the thing, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. There is, though, however, one again, and this has been like the sponsor of this season, Super Mario Party, the first one on the Switch. There's one called Sort of Fun, where there's a bunch of different like sports balls that come, and there's 4 different baskets, and you have to sort them and deliver them into those baskets. When you look up the screenshot, probably you'll see what I'm talking about. Like a Goomba, like has like a ball in his head, and then you have to like get in the right basket. Hey, sorting, have to give the right one. It was marked on the boats. I think that's pretty fair. I got a second one when we get to the paper or plastic one. Really? The thing of note here I have was some of the difficulties brought by the traffic, right? So Greg and John specifically had a hard time just being able to even dock in because their guy, whether he wasn't getting close enough and then there was too many people there or whatever the case, bad luck or timing, they had to do a lot of extra laps and lost positioning because of that.
You got to have a reckless dude. Tie some like towels to the side of your boat so you can bump into people a little bit, not nick the paint up.
Well, that's what I want to know about maritime law. Like, can you hail and pirate? Like, why? Screw it. You
have to duel if you do something.
Says who? I'm loading up onto you. I'm tying up to your boat and I'm coming across. I'm delivering this damn dragon fruit.
Yeah, I wanted to see like more like aerial throws, like where they're like throwing like oranges really far, and the guy's like got his stickum gloves on. He's catching melons.
I don't know. I found it very hard to keep up with who was where in this
Oh my
whole
God.
thing. Like, I was like, what is going on? Like, if they didn't give us that tally on the side, I was like, I don't know
You'd have
what
no
the
clue.
hell is going on here. Yeah, unless you're headed back, I don't know where you are in this whole thing.
The Greg and John doing the laps, trying to find, remind me of like somebody driving around a mall trying to find a parking spot. It's like that Family Guy skit where there's like 50 cars that go and try to crash into the one spot. That's like seemed like what was going on with them. I felt bad, honestly. The other I would say error of note was Joe and Ian. They went and completed an entire boat, but they didn't take their picture. And so they had to like wait for other people to get done and go back to get their. The guy was like, no. I'd be like, no, what do you mean no? I'm not leaving, dude. Are you nuts? I am not going anywhere.
Right.
When you get your hook and you hitch onto that boat, and you're like, I'm not leaving, dude.
I'm
Cut
not
my
going
boat,
nowhere.
cut my line.
Piracy.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Or just airmail that picture. Just keep throwing them over, flick them over.
Also, like, I mean, they probably knew where they had to go. I'm sure only one of the third had the
Yeah,
number on it.
you have to turn in the clues, don't you? Isn't that the rules?
That was it. It turned in the clue. You're right. So if you did turn the clue in, then you would be brought to dock P20. Once you got to P20, you were able to go and start the detour, paper or plastic. This is another one where I'm going to ask you guys which one you would have done. Paper was the one where you had to make 12 things of rice paper. It was basically like a giant crepe. The other one was plastic, where you had to do a vinyl, iron heat lamp on vinyl plastic on a piece for a motorized two-wheeler. They said there's 65 million two-wheelers. I thought that was pretty crazy. Before I get your guys' opinion, the rice paper, like I said, reminds me of crepes. There are no Mario Party crepe mini games. However, there is a Mario Party pancake mini game. Is can take pancake. That's also in, you guessed it, Super Mario Party. So there are my two references. Guys, I want to ask you, which one would you have done? And then which one do you think ended up being harder?
I thought you were going to be like, well, there's no crepe looking one, but there is one where you melt plastic onto a piece. Like
That is exactly where I thought that was going to. And I was like, where is he going with this? I was like, what could it be?
Yeah, it's Mario Party Tech School. Votech.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Honestly, I thought this one was pretty even. Like normally, like the last two we did, like there was a clear winner. I thought both of these had their ways of being challenging. So I think I would probably do I can't believe I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna do the plastic.
Really? Yikes! I absolutely would have done paper, and I really think that I would have crushed it. All right, like making crepes. Like, listen, Sunday breakfast and brunch is my jam. Okay. Yeah,
Brunch masters.
Oh, come on.
You have like a big long wooden stick with spikes that you can spin in your.
No, I don't have these
honeycomb
things, but I do trust myself in the fact that I could do this well. I think that if I made 15, you could find 12 in that first batch. That'd be good.
Okay, that's fair. What would you do?
Yeah, I think I agree with you, and only because, like, knowing myself, there's no way I wouldn't have bubbles on those vinyl things. But
right.
I can't even wrap a Christmas gift. Like, right. Come on.
No, me either. Gift bags all day.
Maybe I will be good at it.
There you go.
I also don't think that my temper would have been able to tolerate the plastic thing. Like the second I started to see a bubble, I would only allow myself one more rewrap before I lost my stuff entirely. And I would just walked out. Like, forget it. I'm going to paper. Like, I feel like that would be the most frustrating thing. Like, imagine, like, because you had all this excess vinyl that, didn't totally make it onto the fender. Like, you have to imagine it's also sticking on your leg the whole time. That's got to be really irritating. It's probably hot. Like, your partner is probably, like, looking at you crazy. Like, the whole thing, like, I think that really would have irritated me to the point of quitting.
I feel like you're always just sweating hot in the entire leg to like that in that country to me.
That's also true. But just feeling the vinyl on my leg would have been enough to set me off.
Comment below what you would do.
Yeah, I think people are going to go with the rice one. But also, I thought, like, listening to the description where he was like, it's 30 seconds, like, bada bing. Like, the hardest part, I think, frankly, was getting the right amount and having them do the spread. I think if you had the right amount and the quick, like, circular motion, I think you had a pretty good shot of Scooby. I think the rolling was frankly probably the easier part. I think the prep was harder than they were letting on.
Well,
That's fair. That's
me.
fair.
Maybe we'll have a reality guys amazing race pancake party one day. That's the kind of world I want to live in.
I would love to try this. But to your point there, I think that is actually what helped Melina and friend. I forget her name.
Andrea.
Yeah.
Andrea, because they had a lot of time to kind of watch this process. And I think in terms of the ratio between like, just batter and everything, like they kind of got to watch all that and really know.
Steve and Annalie performed really well on this one. Led to them finishing first. The final stop we thought final stop. The pit stop was at the Trukwalam Phuong Nam Zen Monastery, one of the 30,000 places of worship. They did arrive. Phil told them, unfortunately for them, they're still racing. We don't know where we're going. They didn't let us know where the next leg or next stop was taking us on the race, but we will obviously continue and get an elimination next week. Bri, did you bother to keep track of the finishes?
I did.
Okay, cool. Bri, let us know the current order of finish without the blood sacrifice.
All right, first place we had Stephen and Lee. Second place we had Joel and Garrett, my team. So let's go. Third place Rob and Corey. Fourth place Todd and Ashley. Fifth place Robin and Chelsea. So they had a nice little jump. Sixth place Morgan and Lena. Seventh place Joe and Ian. Eighth place Greg and John. Ninth place Andrea and Melina. 10th place Jocelyn and Victor. And last place Liam and Jeremy.
If you all know, I am working on my ASL. So there you go. You're welcome. They got your numbers out there. Shout out to our boys. Make sure, like I said, you're subscribed here and on TikTok. Kyle, let everyone know where you can find the Strat Chat Pod.
You can find Strat Chat Pod everywhere you want to be, including Blue Sky. We're live twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays. Big Brother 25. We actually finally picked up Survivor, and we're still doing the challenge. All of which, you guys are invited to. You guys got to come back and hang with us again.
Anytime, bro.
Sure.
But yeah, Strat Chat Pod. Come hang.
Unfortunately, some of these nights that you record, we get like tomorrow night, we have like 9 shows.
I'm just not going to sleep.
You guys have too much going on. You have too much going on for us. We're coming
on, Collaborating. House of Villains premieres tomorrow night.
Yes, it does. I don't actually have live TV, so I have to watch it on Peacock the next day.
It's like most of our people here are watching on Peacock, I'm sure.
Yeah. So
like on the traders and everything like that. So
right.
Check out our next video. It will be the one that preceded this, will be the Survivor 45 week 3 review. But for myself, Brian, and Kyle, thank you. Peace.
Thanks for hanging.